Hello and welcome to my review of Celestian Sacrosanct Aveline for Adeptus Sororitas for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. Now, one of these models will cost you £28 and consists of 22 plastic components and a 50mm round base. So just touching upon the price first of all, £28 puts her at one of the most expensive single Sisters of Battle character models. The most expensive, of course, being the Triumph of St. Catherine, which would now cost you £74. Following off from the Triumph, you've also got Morven Val at £40, the Celestian, the Living Saint, at the same price, the Monofugue, Frail Stern and Kiganel at £37, and then Junith Eruta at £34. To put it in more perspective, a Canoness is £26. So in a way, it shows that Aveline is only £2 more than a Canoness, and you get so much more, but it also puts a spotlight on just how expensive a normal Canoness is at £26. Now, although not mentioned in her rule set, she is actually a member of the Order of the Sacred Rose, which are typically white armoured Sisters of Battle. Her box art shows her adorned in white armour, and there is even a rose on the top of her power plant. Accompanying her was a novel by Jude Reed, both in the standard hardback version, which would cost you £15, made in China. It's a smaller format and it's really poor paper quality, I have to say. And there is a very nice special edition, which is of course already sold out, and that would cost you £45. It's worth noting that this model, Aveline, is also sold out on Games Workshop's web store. The format of this review is I'll have a look at Aveline up close. I'll look at all the detail because it is a fantastic model, and then I will go through the spare parts, of which there is only one, and that's an optional head for her. Then I will go through some size comparisons with other Sisters of Battle models. It is fantastic to whip them out for you in this video. And then at the end, I will go through all of her rules, and she does get some specific rules. Think of her like a normal Sacrosanct, you know, those girls with the shields and the maces, or the halberds, but with a slightly different special rule and a fancy sword that's just a little bit better than a halberd. Okay, so let's have a look at this detail for Aveline. Absolutely gorgeous model. Lots of detail. I wouldn't necessarily say there's more detail than Amalia Novena, but it is just different detail. Like you've got some detail on the base, spent casings. I mean, there would be spent casings, but not necessarily because of her, because she's got the hand flamer. You've got the cherubs, which are fantastic. These winged sort of servitor type creatures. This one looks like it's got loads of canisters or grenades or something. This one here has some kind of vial. Yeah, so they're a nice feature. The bloodletter demon on the base is also pretty cool, seeing as that ties in with her rules, that she can reroll hit and wound rolls for demons. Her shield is gorgeous. You know, you've got this rose there, you've got a Sisters of Battle driving a sword through the head of a demon. You've got this cheeky little hand flamer, which doesn't really do much more than a normal one. You've got the power plant, which is quite standard, but it also has this rose on the top. You've got the helmeted version here with this, it looks a little bit like a bishop kind of. It's very religious, isn't it? Let's face it. But it's got this peak on the top, which I'm not sure kind of makes her stand out, but then again, I'm talking about a little extra bit on the helmet making her stand out when she's got this bloody great big sword on fire. That has a rose symbol on it. The sword itself is gorgeous, and yeah, it's going to be really tricky to get that fire effect, you know, that warm glow. But I love how it's wreathed in flames in like a fleur-de-lis icon, which is synonymous for many of the Sisters of Battle miniatures. You've got the fleur-de-lis icons on her breastplate, as well as you know, a little fleur-de-lis icon belt accessory, and then she's got something on her cloak there. Would have been nice if they carried that over and gave you some detail on the reverse of the cloak there. That also would have been cool, but the armour is very decent. It's just a great package, really, when you consider that a normal Canoness is like £2 cheaper than this one. Is she needed? I'm not sure. That it depends whether you like those two abilities that I'll talk about later on in the video. If you've just got 5 or 10 Sacrosants, you're not going to miss out too much. But if you're against demons all the time and you want an extra sort of character HQ that would go really well with them, then this is the one. Spare parts then, you just get one. It would have been nice if she came with like a plasma pistol or a bolt pistol. It would have been tricky to do that though, because the pistol is kind of sculpted onto the arm. So they would have had to make another 2 arms for that. But this is her other head. It's like a hooded head, her screaming, shouting, whatever she's doing, and that's the option that you get. But I went for the helmeted version, as I've done with most of my Sisters of Battle. Okay, size comparisons then. Let's just start off with a standard Sacrosant model, which is right here, and I think she's got like the Spear of Destiny, I want to call it. I don't know. This is like an upgrade that you can give one of these Sacrosants. As you can see, they're pretty much the same size, same height. Detail wise, yeah, there's more detail on Aveline, which is very nice. Everything from the studs on the shield to the actual kind of symbols on that shield there. You know, with the rose and the sister, and then the sword through the demon, I want to call it. The power plant is pretty much the same, except obviously this one has some kind of halo, and Aveline has that rose. The sword is lovely. I really do like the touch with the flame. Creating this fleur-de-lis icon. I think it's absolutely stunning. The base is nice, but of course with plastic you're going to lose a bit of detail on the base with the layering. You know, maybe with some texture paints and things you could probably buff it up, but then you've got the bloodletter that she's standing upon. You've got this got 2 cherubs, or servitor cherubs, whatever they're called. This one has some kind of mask thing on and is holding some kind of grenade or canister, and then this one has some kind of vial with some incense, and they're both this one has more of like a skull, you know, still a lens, but they've got these wings that they're floating on, and a load of scrolls. And then her armour itself, I know I'm doing sort of size comparisons at the same time, her armour itself is, you know, there's a lot of detail on her helmet as well. Not sure I'm a massive fan of this extra sort of layer at the top, but it's quite neat because it's got the rose on there as well, which will fit in very well with my bloody rose. So yeah, that's kind of the similarities between a Sacrosant and then this named character, Aveline. You know, instead of the sort of plasma pistol, which would have been quite cool, she's all about the flame. You know, she's got that hand flamer. It's just a standard Ministorum hand flamer. It's a bit disappointing, really. But yeah, she's got the flaming sword as opposed to the spear or the halberd, and then the plasma pistol of a typical Celestian Sacrosant. So that's where she measures up next to your Sacrosants. I'm sure she'll be a great addition. Fantastic if you've got 5 or even 10 of these girls with maces or halberds, and you pop them near her. She's going to stand out as the towering leader figure, which is cool. Compared to like a standard Sister of Battle, going to be very similar size. Here's one I'm in progress of painting still. Similar size. A Hospitalia, which again just reminds me of how incredible these miniatures really are. You know, this one she has sort of the doves floating about, helping her. She's helping this this sister there, reading some things. I mean, I wish she'd just give her a plaster, if I'm perfectly honest, rather than holding her lamp while she's reading. But she's like, oh, come on, girl, just give me a plaster. You know, I've run out of plasters. Can you just stop kind of singing? Can you stop reading your book there? I know it's a real page turner, but yeah. So it just gives you an idea. Same size base as well. I thought this is one of the reasons why I picked the Hospitalia, and a beautiful base too. So those two kind of go quite well together. Amalia Novena. Honestly, this model, I always go back to this model because it definitely has the most amount of detail of any Sisters of Battle mini, and if you can still pick her up, it's worth it. Yeah, she's just a standard sort of Sister of Battle, doesn't have any special rules, I don't think. The bolt gun looks massive in her hand, but there's so much detail on this model. This really was a breakthrough miniature for Games Workshop in terms of the detail on the base, all of those fleur-de-lis icons, you know, all the detail on her armour. Definitely there's some cues with Aveline on this one, and you know, they've gone one step further with the detailing on the shield and then on the front of the cloak. But I just feel like, you know, there's more detail when you focus in to this sort of area here than Aveline. And you know, if you didn't know that this was in plastic, you definitely think that this would be in resin. But yeah, that's Amalia Novena, two incredibly detailed miniatures. Then I just want to compare her to some other characters. So we've got Morven Val, which is in this, like them or love them, they're here to stay in this sort of Paragon war suit. She's like the leader of the, she's one of the High Lords of Terror now, isn't she? She's one of the leaders of the Sisters of Battle in that suit, which is, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, she's got a heavy bolt at the end of the day, but yeah, she's pretty survivable and good in combat. So that's where she stands next to Morven Val, if you've got Morven Val. Next to a Penitent Engine, which would be sort of similar height. I think Aveline is taller than both though, with that sword, so just dominates the, you know, presence there with them. Saint Celestian though is taller. She rises above with her doves from above, so she's still going to be taller than Aveline. And then why not, I just thought I'd bring in a Rhino, which again is partially painted, and yeah, she's taller, like the tip of her sword is taller than the Rhino. So a lot of presence, this model, compared to your other sisters, and yeah, it's just drawn to my attention again what beautiful, lovely miniatures the Sisters of Battle really are. Last little size comparison I always like to make is, because this is a 40k miniature, is with some sort of Space Marines. So got a standard Space Marine here, is a little bit taller than her, which is fine. Sly Marbo is a little bit smaller than her. Maybe it's that power armor. And then the Primaris definitely is a good foot or two taller than her. In terms of on the actual table though, yeah, she's taller than Primaris. I'm not sure why you would fight Primaris if you're sisters, but you know, a lot of people seem to have Primaris, so that's where she stands next to them. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for Celestian Sacrosanct Aveline. Now, she does have her own separate rules, which I tried looking for on the Warhammer community website and I couldn't. So in the end I just typed in Google Celestian Sacrosanct Aveline and it will lead you to an article from the community website with her rules. The rules, once you find them on the community website, they're pretty standard for a Celestian Sacrosanct. I'm assuming she counts as an HQ because one of the keywords is epic hero, so we'll just go with that. But points wise, she's a very modest 45 points, which is delicious. It's very, very good value for points, I think. Her stat line reads movement of 6 inches, toughness 3, save of 3+, with an invulnerable save of 4+, 4 wounds, leadership 7, and an objective control 1. It's quite standard run of the mill. You know, it's nice that she's got 4 wounds and an invulnerable save, but she's a bit squishy at that toughness 3, like all sisters are squishy. Ranged weaponry, she's equipped with this Ministorum hand flamer, ignores cover, it's pistol and torrent. It's a range of 12 inches, d6 attacks, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Doesn't have any extra rules compared to a normal hand flamer. It's not named or anything, so it's nice that it's torrent, because obviously you measure 12 inches and then it's the flame template after that 12 inches, so you'd be surprised how far that can go. But it's just a standard flamer at the end of the day. Melee weapons, she's equipped with the Thorn of the White Rose. This is quite a nice weapon in that she gets 4 attacks with it. It's weapon skill 3+. Would have been nice to get 2+ on there. Strength is 5, AP is -2, and damage 2. It's the same stat line as a Spear of the Faithful, except she gets 4 attacks with it instead of the 3. So if you're expecting some kind of incredible weapon that instantly immolates enemies and things like that, then you'll be a little bit disappointed. However, she does have a couple of unique abilities, special rules later on, which does buff her weapon up. Her normal core abilities is Feel No Pain on a 6+ and Lone Operative. Faction is Acts of Faith. These are the 2 special abilities for her. So she's got Instrument of the Emperor's Wrath. Now, very important, once per battle, you can only use it once per battle though. At the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, you add 3 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons equipped by this model, and those weapons have the Devastating Wounds ability. So there you go. That's how this typical Spear of the Faithful gets a big buff, in that she's bumping her attacks now to 7, and although it's weapon skill 3+, which is a bit, and the strength is only 5, bit risky, and the AP is only -2, you are getting the Devastating Wounds, which means no saves or invulnerable saves can be taken. So let's just hope she gets a lot of those 7 attacks that hit. The other ability, which is a tie-in to the book actually, a bit like the Emperor Protects ability that I love. It's called Demon Breaker. Each time this model makes an attack that targets a demon unit, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. So again, that's fantastic. Yes, it's only weapon skill 3+, and yes, it's, I say, only strength 5. It does give her a bit more of an edge, dare I say, against demons. So you want to be throwing her. Sounds horrible. You want to be throwing her at demons, guys, and using that Instrument of the Emperor's Wrath and things. Whether she'll come out unscathed is another story, because while I like the fact that she's got a 4+ invulnerable save, it is definitely a debuff compared to like 9th edition Sacrosants. So 9th edition Sacrosants just had a straight up 2+ save and they didn't have a vulnerable save. Now in 10th edition they have that 3+ normal and a 4+ invulnerable. Would have been nice to give her a 2+ normal, but I understand why not, because she's just got the power armor. But it's still great that they've got their invulnerable saves, and typically they're equipped with their halberds or Spear of the Faithful with the penetration is -2. Still not great Space Marine equivalent killers. Like, I still wouldn't throw them at Chaos Space Marines or anything, but everything else is fair game, really. So keywords: infantry character, Imperium, grenades, epic hero, Celestian, Sacresant, Aveline. And the faction keywords is Adepta Sororitas. So that's interesting that she doesn't actually have the keyword of the order that she's with, Order of the Sacred Rose. And also, what boggles my mind is there are 2 decent cherubs there that have canisters and grenades or whatever they've got. Where are they in the rules? It would have been nice to have some kind of extra ability, like they get attacked first, or maybe they add to her wounds. That's probably a reason why she's got 4 wounds instead of the typical 1. But it would be nice if they came into play as well. In summary, I think she's an absolutely gorgeous model, whatever colour you paint her. And it's been a long time since we've had a decent looking Sisters of Battle mini. Probably far back from 2020, so a good 4 years. Yeah, we've had the Sacrosants and we've had Morven Vahl and the Paragon War suits and things like that. But we've also had like the Dogmata and, you know, other kind of meh characters. We did have a Frailstern, which is very nice. But yeah, it's a nice return to a lovely miniature. Just a shame that she wasn't released with the 10th edition Sisters of Battle releases, like the new codex and things. But what do you guys think of this Celestian Sacrosant Aveline model? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'd be good to hear from you. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.